Hello students, today we will discuss the very first chapter of ninth biology, that is fundamental unit of life. First we will discuss about the discovery related to the cell. You should know that who discovered the cell. Robert Hooke discovered the cell at 1665 with the help of very primitive microscope. Would you like to see which kind of microscope he used? Then look at this diagram. This microscope was used to observe the cork slice and he observed the cell. Next, it was the dead cells. Robert Hooke, he observed the cells in the cork slice, and definitely we know now that are the dead cells of the plant. First living cells were discovered by the scientist Leeuwenhoek. He observed the living cells in pond water. Then more development in the microscope take place, and then Robert Brown discovered nucleus in the cell, and then after the discovery of electron microscope we will able to observe other cell structures and we get to know about the detail of cell structure. Now, cells. If we observe the cells, then we will find that there are lots of variation among the cells. Variation, it may be in size, it may be in shape, and it may be in color. For example, first we will take the size. Size, the bacterial cells are very small in size. Okay, every cell, if we consider the human being, then the cells are very small in size. We cannot observe by naked eyes. So this is the very small size of the cell. But some cells we can observe very easily. They are very big in size. For example, we have the largest cell, that is the ostrich egg. That is the egg cell of ostrich. Okay, that is very large and can be seen by naked eye. So this is the difference between the size variation among the size of various cells. Like prokaryotic cells are the smallest cells. If we talk about the very smallest, that is an example PPLO, pleuropneumonia like organisms, that are the smallest cells. Then eukaryotic cells are larger than the prokaryotic cells, but still we cannot observe them with naked eyes. But the largest cell, that is ostrich egg, is very big and can be observed. This is about size. Now let's go for the next kind of variation, that is shape. You can observe the shape here. Okay, like you can see, this is smooth muscle cells. They are spindle shape. Okay, you can observe, also able to observe some other blood cells. You can able to observe the sperm. Everyone know the structure of sperms. Okay, so they are of different shape. So this is a kind of variation. Next come to the color. If we talk about color, then maximum are colorless, but some cells have a specific color, like blood cells. Red blood cells are red due to this hemoglobin pigment. Okay, then also you can find some cells having that particular color. So this is the difference among the variation in the cells. Now we will discuss the structure of cell. Structure, whatever the living material is present in a cell, that is called protoplasm. Okay, and in case of animal cell, it has the cytoplasm, plus it is surrounded by the cell membrane, and the complete animal cell having the protoplasm. But in case of plant cells, they have cell wall plus inner material, that is protoplasm. So all the living part of the cell is called protoplasm, and protoplasm is the physical basis of life actually, because in case of plant cell they have cell wall, that is a dead part, dead material, made up of dead material. So by the this word protoplasm, to explain the protoplasm, that all the living substance of a cell is called protoplasm. Then we discuss what is present in the protoplasm, that is cell membrane and cytoplasm. What are else present in the cytoplasm? Then there is nucleus. So we can study the cell in broadly three headings. That is, if we have to discuss the protoplasm, we can divide it into three main headings, that is plasma membrane, nucleus and cytoplasm. Okay, so first the plasma membrane. If we go to study the plasma membrane, what is its component, its composition, then it is made up of protein and lipids. There are bilayer of lipids and protein, and its nature is semi-permeable. Semi means half. It allows an exit only, entry of some specific materials in the cell, not the all. That's why it is called semi-permeable membrane or selectively permeable membrane. It is very helpful in the process of lots of metabolic process of the living cells and living organism, because it permit the entry and exit of some particular material from the cell. If we want to observe how the lipids and proteins are arranged in a plasma membrane, we can observe it with the help of this diagram. This is the structure of plasma membrane. Plasma membrane, like blue color heads and wavy tail. It is a single lipid molecule. Then another side also you can observe the blue heads and the wavy tail like this. This blue part one layer and lower blue part is second lipid layer. Okay, so it is a bilipid layer, and in between these things, this orange color structure, they are the proteins. You can find it between the bilipid layer. So such kind of structure is occur in plasma membrane that make it semi-permeable. Now, what is the function of plasma membrane? Number one, it works as a semi-permeable membrane and regulates the entry and exit of substances into and out of the cell. Okay. Second, it is providing a boundary of the cell and protect the cell from the injury. Next, it also allows the flow of materials between different organelles of the same cell plus between the adjacent cells. ओके, तो जितने भी मटेरियल्स का लेन देन है, इन एंड आउट होना है, ट्रांसपोर्टेशन है बिटवीन द सेल ऑर्गेनेल्स एंड बिटवीन द टू एडजेसेंट सेल्स, सराउंडिंग सेल्स, it takes place with the help of this selectively permeable plasma membrane. Now, we will study the detail of the plasma membrane. If we are talking about it is semi-permeable membrane, then where it works very precisely and effectively. Number one, I will take the example of our lungs alveoli. Okay, you know that gaseous exchange take place through the lungs, and lungs has all the cells, not the lungs only, but all the cells has plasma membrane, or it is selectively permeable membrane. When we inhale the air, then only there is diffusion of oxygen from that air inside the blood capillaries. At the same time, carbon dioxide which is present inside the blood capillary, that is diffused out into the alveoli air. Then we exhale that air. So this is the process of breathing. At the time of breathing, the gaseous exchange take place in the alveoli of the lungs, and is only possible due to the semi-permeability nature of the plasma membrane. Otherwise, you know very well that in the air there is 78% nitrogen, but it is not going to enter into the human blood or human cell. Okay, so it is very selectively permeable for the substances. That's why only we are able to intake the oxygen and able to remove the carbon dioxide. It means the plasma membrane is permeable for oxygen and carbon dioxide, not for the nitrogen gas. Next example, we can observe the this nature of permeability, semi-permeability of the plasma membrane when we observe the diffusion of water, movement of water. Water can move from its higher concentration to lower concentration through plasma membrane, and this process is called osmosis. Okay, so plasma membrane is also allow the transfer of water molecule, and it is very helpful in a number of processes, and it has a very effective way to maintain the body fluids in any organism. After plasma membrane, if we discuss the structure of cell, then in case of plant cell, there is an extra material, extra structure, that is cell wall. Cell wall, it is made up of cellulose, and it is present only in plant cell. Cellulose, it is a very rigid structure. Rigid means strong. It is a very protective structure that is present outside the protoplasm. Outside the protoplasm means cytoplasm, then plasma membrane, then outside of that cell wall is present. Okay, it is the main feature to differentiate plant cell from the animal cells. Clear? And the component, the material is cellulose. What is the function of cell wall? Why it is present in plant cells? Then, being very rigid in structure, it gives a definite shape to the plant cells. It provides mechanical strength to the cells. It protects the protoplasm against injury. It gives rigidity to the cells. That's why the plant cells is well maintained, and even without the endoskeleton, without the bones, plants can stand very tall, and it is only due to this very rigid and very protective cell wall. Now, next component of the cell is cytoplasm. Cytoplasm, the substance that is enclosed by the membrane, and it has a number of cell organelles. Okay, it maintains the connectivity between the two adjacent cells, and it works as a store material for a number of things, distribution of enzymes, nutrients, and other biomolecules within the cells. Lots of synthesis of biomolecules also take place in the cytoplasm only. So the main thing which we will study in detail, that cytoplasm has a number of cell organelles in the next video. Next part of the protoplasm, we divide the protoplasm in three headings: plasma membrane, cytoplasm, and nucleus. So next is the nucleus. Here you can observe the diagram of nucleus, a typical eukaryotic nucleus. It is surrounded by double unit membrane, that is called nuclear membrane, and it has the nuclear pore in between for the transmission of material from nucleus to the cytoplasm. Okay, inside the nucleus, whatever the material is there, that is called nucleoplasm. It has nucleolus. Nucleolus is an amorphous structure that do not have any surrounding plasma membrane. It is a RNA factory. It is the factory of RNA. It is a factory of ribosomes. Ribosomes की जो factory है वो है nucleolus. यहाँ पे RNA present होता है, यहाँ protein present होता है, and it work as a factory for the manufacturing of ribosomes. Inside the nucleus, you can observe thread-like structure that is called chromatin. Okay, so this is the diagram of nucleus. So, nucleus is the major central structure in the cell. Okay, it is the brain of the cells. It controls all the activity of the cell. Clear? So, nucleoplasm surrounded by the nuclear membrane, having the nuclear pore, Now nucleoplasm, two structures we can observe there, that is nucleolus and chromatin. Nucleolus, as I told you, it is of protein and RNA and is the site of ribosome formation. Chromatin is thread-like structure that is made up of genetic material DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid and protein. Okay, this chromatin, this thread-like structure will convert into dense structure at the time of cell division, that is called chromosomes. Chromosomes contain genes and each gene is responsible for one hereditary character of the organisms. Okay, so they are the unit of the inheritance. So nucleus, यदि हम इसके functions की बात करें, it controls all the metabolic activities of the cell. That's why it is called brain of the cell. Second, as it has the genes in the chromosomes, then it controls the inheritance of characters from parents to offsprings. Next, it controls the cell division. A cell, when it has to grow, then after the maturity, it has to enter into the cell division. This everything is controlled and managed by the nucleus. If we talk about nucleus, then what kind of nucleus is present in prokaryotic cell? Then no, there is a prokaryotic cell do not have a well defined nucleus. Okay, so all the cells which do not have a well defined nucleus is categorized in the heading prokaryotic cell. This is a diagram of a bacteria, a prokaryotic cell. You can observe that DNA, that is a genetic material, it is directly present into the cytoplasm, and that region where this genetic material is present, it is called nucleoid, like this. It is called nucleoid. Clear? So prokaryotic cells are very small in size, and the main feature that they do not have well defined nucleus. The genetic material is directly present in the cytoplasm, and that region is called nucleoid. Second main feature about prokaryotic cell, that they do not have membrane bound cell organelles. It means they do not have mitochondria, chloroplast, Golgi body, etc. You can observe here that only ribosomes is shown in the prokaryotic cells. So what you get to know from here, it means ribosomes are a kind of cell organelles which are not surrounded by any unit membrane. Okay, I told you that prokaryotic cells do not have any membrane bound cell organelles, so it do not have endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi body, mitochondria, chloroplasts, etc. But it has ribosomes, because ribosomes do not have any membrane. So this is about the prokaryotic cells. That's why they are considered primitive cells, and the organisms which are made up of prokaryotic cells, they are called primitive organisms. If the nucleus is well defined, the cells are called eukaryotic cells and the organisms are called eukaryotes. Here eukaryotic cells, we just discussed that there is a cell wall in plant cells and it is absent in animal cells. So broadly we can study the eukaryotic cells in the main two headings, animal cell and plant cell. This is a diagram to show the animal cell. You can observe in this diagram there is a cell membrane, okay, and well defined nucleus you can observe here, and lots of cell organelles you can observe in the diagram. A number of cell organelles are present: endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, lysosomes, centrosomes, peroxisomes, Golgi apparatus, all are present in an animal cell. So this is a eukaryotic cell. Next kind of eukaryotic cell which we will study, that is plant cell. Plant cell, it has extra structure that is called cell wall which surround the protoplasm. Protoplasm has cell membrane and cytoplasm. Again you can observe that it has a well defined nucleus having the nuclear envelope and a number of cell organelles that are surrounded by the unit membrane. So this is about the structures we can observe in plant cells. So all the organisms which have eukaryotic cells are called eukaryotes. Thank you.